Dispositionally, you're an optimist? Really?
Well, dispositionally, yeah. I mean, my mother always told me that, compared to my sisters, that I was the optimistic one. So what I'm saying is I'm not prone to looking on the dark side. Put it that way. And in the 90s, So in the 90s, and I think I even said this in the happiness hypothesis. I was like, wait a second, people. Why aren't you all dancing in the streets every day? Do you understand what's happened to us? Like, are you just taking this for granted that the Cold War is over and democracy won? So I really was a techno-democratic optimist in the 90s. I thought our future was bright. I'm friends with Steve Pinker, and but as a social scientist, I'm seeing red lights flashing everywhere.
Did it hit you in the side of the head like it's hit so many of us? Or we look back and think, well, what just happened? Or did you start to feel, like, how did you get a rudder on what was going on?
So it really was a glitch in the matrix, and it started when a student at NYU reported me for showing a video that I'd shown 50 times before, a research video. It was just a video about an experiment. And she objected to one word in it, and said she felt unsafe, and reported me, and the system, nobody could stand up and say, wait, this is, it had to be investigated, and so that was the thing, like, wait, what just happened? This is the worst thing in my academic life. Like, what the hell happened? And then I started seeing all around, like, this was happening everywhere. So it hit me in, as I said, January 2015 is when it first hit me, and then I started seeing it. And then in May 2015 is when Greg Lukianoff came to me. So really that semester that everything changed.
You made a comment when we were in class earlier today with our brilliant students. John walked into the classroom, sat down, and started being a provocateur. Mm-hmm. And the students were engaging through the couple of hours that we had together. You said you couldn't do that in the United States.
Well, I can do it. So what I said was, I can't do it at NYU. I can't do it at my home institution, because in every bathroom, there's the sign telling students 3 ways to report me if I say something that offends them, literally. And on every, I told my ID card, on the back of my NYU ID, it has campus police, mental health, bias response line. So if I say anything that anyone can interpret as a microaggression, here's how you report the professor.
So how do we move from a place where there's fear about even thinking things or being seen to be thinking things or suggesting things to a place where we can work together to come up with strategies to deal with some of this catastrophic circumstance that is being visited upon us?
Yeah. So the normal way to think is to say, well, we need to educate people. We need to, educate people about how to have these conversations. But I'm more of a structuralist. That is, I think there are certain structures that we live in that when they change, it has a radical effect on us. Whereas when you look at educational efforts, like, hey, kids, don't do drugs, like the effect of that is like either zero or close to zero. So my view is, if we want to have those conversations, if I can either get $1 billion to spend on education and training, or I could bring some viewpoint diversity into the faculty and student body and tone down the virality of social media and delay the age to 16, I'll take the structural things any day. So I think that's why we need the social sciences now to think, okay, the structural change has got us into this. It's not because of bad people. It's because of technological and political structures that are not working. So let's put our heads together to change that. And if we can change that, then I think we'll have a much easier time having these conversations. Now that's not, I shouldn't, wait a sec. What you actually do in the classroom, like you're actually doing, I shouldn't say it, because you're actually doing it. So it's not like put out messages about we need to have civil conversations. You actually are bringing people in, and then you're bringing in people like John McWhorter and me, who are like, we're not on the right, but we're like not on the left. Like, that's pretty brave at a university. So you are actually doing, so it's experience, you're giving people experience. That also is very powerful, yeah.
Dealing with the structural piece, countries around the world have been trying to regulate the platforms and to regulate social media and so on. Mm-hmm. And there's some progress, Germany, Australia, there's some examples. But by and large, it's not working. So how would you go about this?
Yeah. So first, there's two separate issues. One is the kids' mental health issue, where it's totally bipartisan. I've spoken with Republican and Democratic Congress people and governors and the Surgeon General. Everyone has kids. Everyone sees it. There is no partisan issue here. I think we're going to be successful there. I think we're going to actually raise the age of internet adulthood to 16. I presume you go by American law here, that is, or the platforms. What I mean, hold on, what I mean is that when Congress set the age of internet adulthood to 13, in 1998, Congress passed a law saying at 13, kids can make a legally binding deal with AOL or a company. They can give away their data, give away their rights, and sign a contract at 13. Oh, and you don't have to show you're 13, just say you're 13, and that's all you need to do. So Congress did that, and that became the law for the world, I presume, right? In Canada, I presume you have to be 13 to open an account, yeah. So that was made with no concern for mental health, and it's a complete disaster. So what I'm saying is, I think we're going to be successful in raising the age and doing some things to reduce the mental illness among teens. That I think we'll be successful on. Now, as for, do we regulate the internet? Do we have a truth commission? You can't lie. Like, no, that's, there it's so partisan that we're not going to make progress there. But I'm part of an organization called Project Liberty. It's a little complicated to explain, but Web 3, Web 1 was the early internet. Like, you can put stuff up and people can read it. Like, wow, you can read stuff. And Web 2 was, oh no, you can write stuff back and give credit cards. Like, it's two-way, and you can have commerce. That's what the disaster was. So, we first got the side of the internet, like, information is free, amazing. And then we got to Web 2, like, oh, it's all about commercial engagement and so it's Web 2 that's messed us up. Web 3 is based on blockchain. You can own your data. It's a little hard to explain, but the internet, the social media we have now, I'm guessing is not going to be what we have in 10 years. So I think things are going to change, and there will be some technological changes.
Okay.